Hello everyone, my name is Colmatt, welcome back to the channel, and today I'm going to be showing you the most useful technology for your base. Now before we get started in the video, obviously this is going to be subjective. What's top technology for me not be the same technology for you, and I will mainly only be covering technology in this video. If you want to see all the base parts, go ahead and leave a comment down below and I'll get around to it as soon as I possibly can. But with that all being said, let's go ahead and jump right into the video. So first on the list, we do have the refiners. We're going to have the large refiner, the medium refiner, and then the portable refiner. Now these all three serve the exact same purpose. All you're going to do is refine minerals down to their base parts or make more advanced minerals if you put them in. So for instance, you probably already know this by now, but with a portable refiner, you have your 1-to-1 with you having to put in carbon or condensed carbon. Then you move up to the medium refiner. The medium refiner is going to allow you to do 2-to-1. The cool thing about this one is that you don't require any sort of fuel source, so these run just without any energy at all. Same thing with the large refiner, except you can go 3-to-1, so you can do the more advanced recipes here. What these are mainly going to be used for, and I think since the newest update they've kind of nerfed this a little bit. Used to, what you would do is you would put, say, chlorine in with oxygen, and it would give you more chlorine because of the oxygen. Like I said, I think they've nerfed it, but I'm not for sure. I haven't really messed with that, but that's what you would use the refiners for. And again, I think go ahead and get all the refiners. If nothing else, get the biggest refiner, and then you don't have to ever worry about using the smaller ones anymore. Up next, we have the save beacon and the save point. Now these are going to serve the exact same purpose as well. These are going to be here to make a manual save. So you see here, we walk up, it did a restore save point. Same thing with the actual save point. Basically, it all just depends on which look you rather like. For me, I tend to use the save beacon more often. Now, what's really cool about these is you can just go ahead and pick them up, and you don't need a base to place these down, so you can place these anywhere you want. Now, what I use these mostly for, and what I see most people use them for, is to mark a specific location rather than to actually save. So let's say you're on a planet and you found a really cool looking multi-tool, but you don't have the funds for it. You can go ahead and throw down your save beacon, so that way you know exactly where to come back to. But again, that's really all there is for the save beacon and the save point. Now up next, we do have the extractors as well as the supply depot. The supply depot is going to be a must-have, especially if you want to use either of these, because this is going to give you extra storage space for either one of these machines. So the gas extractor, what you will do is you're going to install the technology on your multi-tool. You can see here, if we go over to power survey, mineral survey, and gas survey, basically what you're going to want to do is sweep the planet until you find a gas hotspot, and you're going to want to place down the gas extractor. What that's going to allow you to do is pull the gases from the air, so whether it's nitrogen, sulfurine, oxygen, it all depends on what's on that particular planet, whatever pocket you're looking for. But what it'll do is it'll start extracting it, and then it'll store it into a supply depot, given that you have both of these connected with a supply line. Now obviously you can see here it does require some energy to use, and I will be getting to the energy here in a little bit, but just know that you can't run this on your own unless you have the custom settings with the new 4.0 update, where you can just use free electricity. So if you want to do it that way, go ahead, but otherwise I will be covering which electricity you should be running with these. Up next, we have the mineral extractor. Now the mineral extractor is basically the exact same as the gas extractor. The only difference is you actually are going to be getting minerals from the ground rather than your oxygen or your nitrogen from the air. Now what you would do to find this is also go back into your analysis visor, but then we're going to go over to mineral survey mode instead, and you can see there actually is some nearby. So it's telling me I need to turn to the left, and on the very far left you'll see it says potential is an A class, so you know that that's actually a pretty good yield. Again, this one is going to require power, and if you want to store more than what is given to you from the mineral extractor itself, you're going to want to go ahead and get the supply depot with the supply lines connecting them. But I would say overall, both of these are well worth your time, and especially if you're going to be using these, definitely go ahead and get the supply depot, because you can place multiple of these and they really are worth your time. Now moving on to the electricity, there are going to be three main categories in which you can gather electricity. The first option is going to be the one you get for just doing the story mode. You're going to get the biofuel reactor. So what this allows you to do is you can go in and put in your different materials, and then it'll give you a burn time. So I put in 1 carbon, for instance, and it's given me, it was 37 minutes whenever I put it in, at an output of 50 kps. And what you would do with this is you could actually go ahead and hook this up to this battery, so you could go ahead and store it. This is mainly going to be for nighttime usage. I would say don't use this during the day, because you know, it's good now. It's especially good now. You get a really long time use for how little material you have to put in, whereas before you had to put in a lot of material to get very little back in the yield. But overall, if you're in a pinch and you just need a little bit of electricity, or if you're at a base that you don't often go to, biofuel reactor is perfect for that. You just go ahead and throw it down, power it up with 1 or 2 carbon, and you're going to be good to go for about an hour. Up next, we have the solar panel. Now, the way the solar panel works is it's actually going to go ahead and generate electricity just from the sun, how a regular solar panel in real life would work. So the main downfall of the solar panel compared to the biofuel reactor is the fact that during the nighttime, it is going to close up and you're not going to be generating any power, as well as specific times of the day you're going to be generating more. So you can see right now I'm generating about 24 kps, whereas during like midday I might be generating around 49 to 50 kps. So that's definitely something to keep in mind. Now, if you're not running a lot of stuff at your base, these are really going to be fine. You place just a few of these, 2 or 3 of them with 2 or 3 batteries, and you're going to be fine. You shouldn't really have to worry about them closing up at night. You should have enough power stored up. But if you are worried about that, just go ahead and place down your solar panel, and then you can also get your biofuel reactor so that when it's at nighttime, in case you run out of power, you can power up your base that way as well. Now, the third and final method for getting electricity is going to be the electromagnetic generator. The way this is going to work is going to be very similar to the gas and mineral extractor. So what you're going to want to have to do is you're going to want to pull up your analysis visor. We're going to go over to power survey mode instead. And of course, you can see we actually do have one nearby. It is an S-class. It's going to be the same way. You're just going to sweep until you find it, get near it, it's going to analyze it, and then you can find exactly where to place it to get the best yield back. The electromagnetic generator is by far going to be the best way to generate electricity for your base. Now, there is going to be a little bit of work on your part because you're going to want to find a spot that's going to look good for your base, as well as a spot that is actually going to have the electromagnetic current. So it is a little bit hard and it is a little bit frustrating, but trust me, if you can find one in a spot with a good electromagnetic current, you won't have to worry about electricity ever again, because this is going to generate all day round, so you don't have to worry about nighttime coming around. And the last piece of tech in this category is going to be the battery. The battery is going to allow you to store any sort of current that you have directly to it in order to use it later, or in order to extend your base's electricity. So a lot of times what I'll do with these, especially if I'm running an electromagnetic generator, is put this as far away as I possibly can. So let's say I needed to run the power from here all the way over to my base over there. Odds are I'm not going to be able to run a wire that entire length. What I would typically do is put a battery halfway between here and there, and then I would run the wire to the battery, and then from the battery to my base. Now, you don't have to do that. You can actually just place a wire through free place and then connect another wire to the wire. However, I found that sometimes doesn't work for me, at least, but I've heard most people don't have issues with it. And just in case you wanted to see how this does work, all we're going to do is go into the menu. We're going to hit the edit place parts, and then we're going to go ahead and go over to the toggle wiring. You can see it there on the very far right. We'll go ahead and connect a piece from here directly to the side, and now you can see this is actually storing the electricity. It's going to take about 15 minutes until it's fully charged at a rate of 50 kps. Now, what's cool is you can hook multiple ups to charge these faster. So if I went ahead and hooked up the electromagnetic generator as well, we're going to go ahead and hook this up. You can see now it went from being 15 minutes to down to just 5 minutes because it's storing a lot faster. But that's really all there is to know about the electricity portion of the game. Again, with 4.0, you can turn off electricity completely, so these may not be well worth it for you. If you want to play the OG way of No Man's Sky, go ahead and use these. Again, electromagnetic generator is going to be the best, followed by the solar panel, especially during the day, and then worst comes to worst, you can use the biofuel reactor. You get it right at the beginning of the game. So the next piece of tech that we have is going to be the antimatter reactor. Now, this one I do think is going to be well worth it to go ahead and invest in, especially early game whenever you're limited resources. What the antimatter reactor is going to allow you to do is convert your different materials into antimatter. So you can see here we put in some carbon. I put in about 30 carbon, and we've gotten 1 antimatter so far, and we still have quite a bit of carbon left over. So this will probably make about 3 antimatter. So depending on how much you need the antimatter, I do think that this is going to be worth it. The only problem with this machine is that you do have to be near it in order for it to work. Unless they fixed that since the newest update, I haven't tested it. But I know before, a lot of times if you would put your carbon in and leave, you would come back and there'd be no antimatter and your carbon would be gone. I do think that that was a bug, so it's not intentional to do it that way. But just be careful if you do use this and you leave your base that, your materials may just disappear. The next piece of technology is going to be the atmosphere harvester. Now, this one does have to be placed directly on terrain, so you can't place it like I did over here on the wood. What this is going to allow you to do is basically the exact same thing as the antimatter reactor, but depending on what kind of planet you're on, it's going to give you different materials. So you can see here for me, I can put in carbon and it's going to convert it into nitrogen. I don't need nitrogen in this case, so I'm not going to actually put any carbon in here, but it's going to work the exact same way. You put in your carbon and you're going to get something back in return. The next piece of technology is going to be the autonomous mining unit. This one's going to be very similar to the atmosphere harvester. The main difference is for this, you do have to place it on a mineral deposit. So let's say you have copper on a planet's surface, you would go to a copper deposit, you would place this down, go ahead and fuel it up, and then it's going to give you whatever material you place it on top of. That's what it's going to give you back in return. Again, this one is only going to work whenever you're nearby, and it will fill up pretty fast, so definitely make sure that you're always checking the storage near these. What I like to do with these is if I have a base near a deposit, I'll go ahead and place it down on the deposit, leave, go do whatever at my actual base, and then whenever I'm ready to leave my base, I just run over, grab the materials, and then I'm good to go. Moving on to the final three pieces of technology in today's video, we have the automated feeder, the livestock unit, as well as the nutrients processor. And the reason why I have these three grouped together is because they do work very well together. So the process here is with the automated feeder, you go ahead and go in and you're going to place some creature pellets. What it'll then do is it'll spit the creature pellets out of the top. Any nearby animals that can be harvested will then come in, they will eat the pellets. Then the livestock unit, what it's going to do is it's going to pull any harvested goods, so whether that's eggs, milk, grease, it's going to pull any of that stuff and it's going to store it in here, so that way you don't have to worry about going through each individual animal and collecting. From there, what you would do is you would take those harvested goods and you could put them directly into the nutrients processor and turn them into different materials. So whether that's like your donuts, your cakes, your processed meat, your stews, anything like that, you can go ahead and put it in here, and then you can go ahead and turn it into the different materials. Once you've made some food, you can go take that up to the space anomaly and you can actually get nanites for that. The main big thing about the nutrients processor, I actually didn't cover this in the freighter guide that I made, is you can actually access the storage down here. So you have 50 extra slots worth of storage. This is going to be the exact same as the nutrients processor room on the freighter. It's going to store the same materials in there. What's really cool about this is you can actually pick these up. So it's basically just a free backpack full of materials. So you can see here, if we go back into the access ingredient storage and we just place, for instance, these creature pellets down, we have 23. What we'll do now is whenever we pick this up, you can see we got back just the carbon for it, the nutrients processor itself. So now what we can do is if we place down the nutrients processor, you'll see whenever we go back into the inventory, access the ingredients, you still have the 23. So basically it's an extra 50 slots for your exosuit. Now, I don't know whether or not they'll ever actually fix this. I don't know if it's intended to be used in this way, but a lot of people do use it this way, and I would say it's well worth it, especially in the early game whenever you don't have a lot of slots. You can see here I only have 60 slots. This is basically double the amount of storage that I have currently. So, you know, use that to your advantage, but it will only store specific materials. So you see I can't store everything. Mainly going to be the carbon, chromatic metal, and then any other animal products that you do have. Anyways guys, thank you so much for watching today's video. I know some of these more recent videos have been a little bit on the longer side. I really apologize about that. There's just so much different material to cover that it's kind of hard to cram these into smaller videos. Moving forward, I'm going to try to break these down into different parts if they are too long. But anyways, thank you so much for watching today's video. If you found this video helpful, I'd really consider a like on the video. And if you want to see more content like this in the future, definitely consider subscribing. I make videos like this all the time. And if you have any sort of videos that you want to see, go ahead and leave them down in the comments below. A lot of times these videos do come from suggestions that are left from subscribers. So definitely leave it down below and I'll get around to it as soon as possible. Anyways, I've held you up for far too long. Thank you so much for watching today's video. Peace out.